Hey everyone, we're Red Donkey Projections, and we are back after a very long break. We were extremely busy. Sorry about that. But anyway, I'm Lucas, and I'm Eric here as always.
Hey guys, and I was also celebrating the new year. And
Yay!
let's start off this year with a good start.
Very cool. Today is the 21st night of September. Someone will
Mm-hmm.
get the reference. Comment the
For real.
reference in the comments. But
Yep.
anyways, today we'll be taking a look at our updated 2020 presidential election prediction. We are almost 1 month away from the election, which is crazy.
Very
I'm very
crazy.
excited to watch this election on TV, although, mail-in ballot. So, anyways, with that being said, let's get right into it. Let's go through all these safe states. By the way, we are going to use donut because a lot of people loved donuts, so we're going to be using donut. I think it's pretty cool too. So, California, Oregon, Washington. We're getting some comments saying California is going red, which is kind of funny because it's not.
Never.
Yeah,
Never.
never. Anyways, yep. These are the classic safe states, which includes the Maine's first district, which is pretty densely, well, not densely populated, but it's more densely populated than the second district.
Plus 20 on
Um,
new polls. Plus 20.
yeah, wow. And I think that is it for the safe states. All right, cool. Heading now to the safe Trump states now. I'm actually going to fill in the likelies as well. Montana, pretty sure that's going to be within a 15-point margin um, because like the polling is showing, what is it, 9 points lead for Trump, which is pretty insane in a state like Montana. Utah, we're gonna also put as likely. Trump is coming back a little bit in Utah, but potentially we could see the Evan McMullin endorsement help a little bit. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact, but we think it will be below a 15-point margin of victory as well. Same for Mississippi and Louisiana. Interesting results from Louisiana. We'll talk about that maybe in a future episode. But I think that's it. South Carolina is getting kind of close on on
Yeah. Especially
on the
their Senate race. Their
yeah,
Senate
especially the
race
Senate race is getting
looking very
weirdly
close.
close. Missouri is definitely likely from what we've seen, demographics wise and polling wise. Kansas, I think we're gonna keep it as actually no. Kansas is going also likely from what we've seen as well. Nebraska first district, I think we're gonna also move that to likely. Actually, let's move to likely because it is look like it is a little bit closer than a 15-point margin as well. West Virginia, Indiana, and that should be it for the safe states. That is,
Arkansas.
Arkansas safe and Alaska is likely. Also seeing some closer margins than 15 points. Heading now to the Biden likely states. New Mexico, we've moved to likely for quite a while now. Colorado, probably less than 15 points.
Nevada.
Um, Maine, Allstate, Hillary did really bad, but Biden will absolutely improve on her margins in Maine. Same with New Hampshire. We're seeing the same thing as well.
And Nevada.
Um, Nevada as well. Just to remind you guys, Nevada actually was predicted to go to Trump in 2016. Biden's ahead in the polls here right now. Nevada, we were thinking, but we were considering moving it to lean D, but I think we're going to keep this one as likely still. All right. And some more likely states. Minnesota, we were actually planning on putting this one as lean until we got a huge surge in Minnesota polls for
Mhm.
Biden. I know we
Yes.
don't solely rely on the polls, but this was such a huge surge that we thought that had to influence our decision here, and we kept it as likely. Michigan, we're also putting this one as likely because we could potentially see higher African American turnout due to the recent Black Lives Matter protests, which would pretty much help Biden quite a bit. So we're putting that one as also as likely. And that is it for the likelies, I believe. Oh, and also Virginia. GOP has not been doing well in Virginia at all, so we're putting that one as likely as well. Okay, cool. Heading now to the lean states. Let's start with Biden. Let's start with the blue wall here. Pennsylvania, first of all, would be a likely here. Sorry, a lean here. Eric, you want to explain Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so this is one of the states that Biden technically has to win back in the blue wall. As you can see, he only needs two more electoral votes, so this is pretty crucial. It does hold 20 electoral votes. That's a pretty significant number. As we know, East Pennsylvania, pretty Democratic, has the city of Philly, and central and more western Pennsylvania is more conservative. So Biden really has to edge out the win here and just really do some campaigning. I saw he was doing campaigning in Wisconsin today, so he'll probably move along the Blue Wall area.
So yeah, this is pretty good for Biden because, he's kind of learning from the mistakes of Hillary, actually visiting Wisconsin this time, which is very important. Pennsylvania polling, I know we don't always solely rely on polling, but Pennsylvania polling does show Biden up by a decent margin. I believe it has dwindled to under 5%, but it's high 4.8, 4.7, somewhere around there. No, 4.9 actually, somewhere around that range. But it's looking decent for Biden. The same for Wisconsin. Wisconsin, at one point in time, it was very, very close. When we started this channel, we actually had Wisconsin at tilt R, if I'm remembering that correctly, because everything was looking so close until, bam, coronavirus hit extremely bad.
Black Lives Matter too.
Black Lives Matter protests have definitely swung this election in Joe Biden's favor. So we're going to put this one as lean. For now, we'll see what happens to that in the future. All right. Now looking at the lean Trump states now. Actually, we missed one. Arizona is one that we've been fighting about. Like, should we put this one as tilt D or lean D? I've been debating about that as well.
At this rate, I think it's best to keep it as lean. The polls have been very consistent in favor for Biden, plus 4.5, which is again very good for him considering how the state just few years ago.
Right. I completely agree. And although we can't solely rely on the polls, there is extra information we got to add there, which is Trump is doing incredibly well with Hispanics. Well, I don't want to say incredible, but he's doing very well with Hispanics compared to compared to him in 2016. So that could potentially have an impact on Arizona because Arizona does have a pretty high number of Hispanics here. But I think this one's honestly borderline tilt. We're going to keep this one as lean for now. All right. And that's it. Let's head to the lean Trump states now. The first one is Texas, which has tightened up recently, actually. In the polling, Trump's only up by 0.8. Wow. Wow.
Consider this. Donald Trump is up more in Iowa than in Texas by a full point.
He's also, fun fact, more up in Ohio as well than in Texas. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? But essentially, Texas has swung a lot to the left recently. You've had, high Latinx, the growth of the Latinx electorate in Texas, and also, because in the southern region of Texas, there are a lot of Hispanics and people of color. It's also, the suburbs. Biden is doing very well with white voters compared to Hillary Clinton. He's doing very well. And that would benefit also in Texas as well. So, there's two reasons there why Biden does seem to be, doing pretty well in Texas. We're going to put this one as lean. Georgia is same as well. Georgia, I think if I'm recalling correctly, Trump is doing better than Texas in the polling in Georgia. Georgia essentially has also swung a lot to the left. It's essentially almost becoming a purple state. And I think by 2024, it will be a purple state. There's a growth of that African-American electorate there, who a lot of them do support Joe Biden. And, that's the African-American electorate is a huge part of Joe Biden's victory in the primaries in South Carolina. His high level of African-American support propelled him to the victory in South Carolina, which allowed him to bounce back.
Especially after Clyburne's endorsement.
Right, and that was a huge part of it as well. So I think that, the African-Americans in Georgia will have a huge impact. It will have an impact on this election. Probably not enough to swing it in Joe Biden's favor, but it will still have a huge impact. All right. Eric, why don't you talk about, Ohio now?
Yeah, so there was some rumors that Ohio may go to Biden. It was looking pretty contested comparing to where it was just in March, April. But the polls have kind of bounced back, and Donald Trump is leading here by 1.5 points, I believe, or somewhere around that margin. Donald Trump took this pretty soundly in 2016, even after Obama took it in 2012. So there's a clear shift in demographics. Maybe there's some more older white voters who really like Donald Trump.
Senor,
What?
you have
Yeah, so I think this is going to go in a lean margin. Um, Donald Trump did take the state in 2016. Even though in 2012 Barack Obama was able to take the state, I guess there was a change in demographics. Maybe there are now more white older men or women who support Donald Trump, and he is leading in the polls by 1.5 points. There was some rumor that it was getting very close. Donald Trump, or at one point even Biden, was leading in Ohio, but Donald Trump has rebounded, and we really don't think Biden could take this at the moment.
all right. And then Iowa is also, more of a, it's become more of a Republican state now. I'm not saying that it's a conservative state because it's not really, but it is more conservative as a swing state compared to some of the other swing states here. Trump is doing very well in the polls here. No surprise. I mean, Trump won the state more than he won Texas in 2016. He won this by 9 points, and this was coming after an Obama victory in 2016. So, in my opinion, I think that I was probably going to go also in a lean. We actually had a state as likely when we first started this channel. I think that has shifted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. Because Iowa, it does tend to be a more rural area, but I do think that Trump still will. Trump will still prevail there due to those rural areas, but those less rural areas might vote for Biden a little bit more. We're putting that as lean. All right, heading now to Maine 2nd District. This is actually our only flip from our map from before. I think that might actually – oh, no. We have a few more flips. But this is a shift in our rankings because we have not gotten much data from Maine 2nd. It's kind of hard to tell, from demographics from this to predict. So we just did get some new data. Let me see if I pulled it up. I did pull it up. Maine has been interesting. Let's take a look at that. Maine 2nd District. Suffolk University. Biden +1. Okay.
A-rated pollster.
A-rated pollster. I mean, +1. Okay, fine. But then we saw this. A+ pollster has Biden up by 2 in Maine 2nd District, and we had another Quinnipiac University that had Biden up by 9. Yeah, I agree. Quinnipiac is definitely not the best pollster, but that's interesting to see because it does seem to look like a pattern now that we're seeing a lot of polls showing Biden up. But nevertheless, Maine 2nd District is very rural, pretty conservative. We're going to be putting this one as a tilt still. We're pretty sure that it is going to go to Trump, but definitely not in as large a margin as we thought before. All right. Nebraska 2nd District, we're going to put this one as lean.
Yeah, looking pretty good.
This one's looking pretty good for Biden as well, because it's a very, very, there's a high number of college graduates here and college-educated voters. And those voters do tend to vote for the Democratic Party, and we are seeing that. And it's also a more densely populated area compared to some of the other parts of Nebraska. Like, look at that 3rd district. That is a huge district. Fun fact, Nebraska 3rd district is actually the most conservative district/state in the nation, according to 538's forecast. So that's interesting to just put out there. All right. Let's see now. We got 2 states left. Let's just, no surprise here. These 2 are both swing states. By the way, Biden already won the election 290. These are both literal swing states. We cannot characterize them.
The most contested states of this election, really.
Yes. Eric, why don't you talk about Florida first?
Yeah, so we actually even made a video in July somewhere with Ethan Ablagi, another YouTuber, about how well Joe Biden was doing in Florida. But as we know, that was Joe Biden's high point. He was doing very well, and coronavirus and the Black Lives Matter protests were really impacting the results. That has significantly went down. He was up by 7 at one point, which is insane. Now, clearly, he has dropped. And even despite Bloomberg pouring $100 million into Florida, I personally don't see a direct result coming from that donation right now. Maybe in the future something will change, but we're really not sure about how well Biden has to stay anymore. Although some polls, even Monmouth University A+, have been putting Biden up by 3.55, and he has been pretty consistent. We just think that, this is still going to be very contested because, as we know, in 2016, Donald Trump did outperform in Florida, and that could be the case in this election.
Absolutely, and I want to reiterate your point that we still have to wait to see what Bloomberg's money does. We are seeing some data from that because in that Biden is kind of performing better in some of these polls now. But again, we got to wait and see what that Bloomberg money does because 100 million is a lot of money. That is definitely a lot of money.
A lot.
All right, and then North Carolina. North Carolina probably is more likely to go to Trump than Florida. North Carolina hasn't gone to a Democrat since Obama 2008, but like in 2008, the African American turnout was extremely high. There was a lot of enthusiasm to vote in the first African American president. North Carolina has a pretty high number of African American voters as well, and that would benefit Joe Biden if they, all turned out. And we are seeing it potentially. We could see that happen due to the recent Black Lives Matter movements, which could increase African American turnout in the state of North Carolina. That's definitely possible. However, polling has also indicated something else. Eric, why don't you talk about that?
About what?
North Carolina.
Oh, okay. My bad. So North Carolina, as Lucas put on the map, is going to be very contested. Biden was leading by higher margins, but this is very contested. It is very split. But although because of Biden's high point, he had a pretty consistent lead that has since went down. But pretty good pollsters have been putting Biden up by pretty good margins. Donald Trump spoke here in his introduction to the RNC. And there are a lot of people here who do support Donald Trump, but it's very, very split in the state of North Carolina. And it could be one of the most contested states in the election.
Absolutely. I think that, in my opinion, probably the most contested state will probably be North Carolina. And then following that, Florida. I think the tipping point state will be Pennsylvania, which is looking actually quite good for Biden right now. So that is our prediction. Biden at 290, Trump at 204. So, yeah, this is our final map. 44 swing states.
Yes, this is going to be a very crazy election, and it got even crazier because, as we know, the unfortunate passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has happened, and civil unrest is kind of happening. The fact that should the current Republican president appoint a justice, or should we wait for the incoming president?
Definitely.
I think it's Joe Biden. So this election got even more hectic, and we're gonna have to see what happens.
Definitely, and I think we're going to also just talk about the Red Mirage soon as well, because that is an important point to make. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching this episode. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you like our content, please subscribe. We'll see you in our next episode at some point.
See ya.